Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Sorry, there was some little trouble with my internet in the beginning. I wasn't able to put it on YouTube. Oh, it took some time. So we were on verse number 13. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram avyayam. So why did this verse come? Krishna acknowledges that he made these gunas, these divisions, and at the same time says he is not to blame. And what was the concern? The concern was Bhagwan says they are all following my path. Mama vartmanu vartante. Manushya pata sarvasha. And then why do they follow these? Why do not they just follow me and reach me? Why do they aspire other things? Is because of they want quick results. Kankshantah karmanam Krishna yajante iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. So, desiring the results of action here, they worship the gods, for in the human world, results born of action come very quickly. So, how you invoke the Lord is your choice. And because people want immediate results, examples given were young people going to university and people who are they do not complete college because of a desire for a more immediate result, even though they are encouraged by their parents and older members of society to struggle for a few years. So we have these college dropouts because they want immediate results. They just want to earn money and not struggle and complete and get a degree. Same thing when a young man plays guitar. He may think he's a musician. Seeing others who become very popular and are making a lot of money, he wants to do the same. So he also wants to follow the apparently shortcut. Therefore, going to college does not interest him. We'll actually read this one more time. We just did one reading here yesterday. Let me read this, right? Because this is what we all get stuck in, wanting immediate results. So Krishna had said earlier that many people had come to him, meaning that they had discovered their identity with him. But why do not all people come to him? Does he prefer only some and leave the others out? Does the Lord have such ragas and dveshas? If he does, then he is no different from anyone else. So, how you invoke the Lord is your choice. Krishna responds to this question by saying that he denies nothing to anyone. If, as a jiva, a person chooses to have only so much within Ishvara's creation, only that much he or she will get. Even his greatest devotees are blessed by him in the form in which they invoke him. The Lord being impartial in every way. This means that the form in which you invoke the Lord becomes the Lord for you. If you invoke the Lord as a deity, Indra, for example, then the Lord is Indra. If you invoke him as the giver of a particular result of action, then he becomes that Devata, that deity. He can even be invoked as Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, or any planet, which is done in relation to a person's horoscope. Particular planets in particular locations have been found to indicate certain problems or situations for the person. Here, Ishvara is invoked as the planet itself, the Prarabdha Karma Adhishtana Devata, the presiding deity of the Prarabdha Karma. All such invocations are possible only because the Lord is available in whatever purpose he is invoked, the purpose being served by the invocation itself. Even people who have nothing to do with the Vedas get results. Rank materialists, for example, interested only in money and power, definitely get results. We also find that without religion, Russia and China are surviving. Previously, they survived with religion, and now, without religion, they are surviving, perhaps even better. Rituals and prayers have no meaning whatsoever to them. An ideal has become their religion. They are devotees of the state, and for them, state is God. Communism is nothing but statism. That is, the state is more important than the individual. Everything belongs to the state, and nothing belongs to the person. Whatever is there is to be shared by all. The idea itself is good, no doubt. However, to enforce it, individual freedom is destroyed. Anyone who raises his or her voice against the system is either prevented from speaking altogether or is sent where he or she cannot be heard by other human beings. Thus, individuals do not count at all. For those who hold this particular ideology, the state becomes God. Of course, such people will not call it God, but this is what God is for them. Why do people misplace God like this? Why do they not become mumukshus and go after liberation, after freedom? Because they are unable to see beyond the immediate results that they see here in the world. And to gain those results, they worship different deities, devataha yajante, which can be anything, money, power, biceps, and so on. Desiring the results of various forms of action, kankshantaha karmanam siddhim, people invoke these various deities. They do not invoke Parameshwara, the total, as such. They don't seek me. They don't go after me. They don't want to know me. They want only to have these small results that they can see. They are bhaktas, all right, but they worship me as small deities alone, says Krishna. So they are only after prayers. They have misplaced God with all that is prayers. They are not after Shreyas. And why do they do this? Because having doership, kartritva, they think I am an independent person capable of doing what is necessary to get certain results. Only human beings have this capacity to choose action based on this kartritva, this sense of doership. Animals do not have this sense, nor do the devas. They have only enjoyership, bhoktritva. So people, human beings are the only living beings that have this free will, that they can choose what kind of action to take, what kind of action to do. People want immediate results. The idea here is that people want immediate results. They do not want to wait. They see that here in this world, the result or accomplishment born out of any karma takes place immediately. Many young people do not complete college because of the desire for a more immediate result, even though they are encouraged by their parents and are older members of society to struggle for a few years so that they can enjoy a better life later. Because a young man plays a guitar, he may think he's a musician. Seeing others who have become very popular and are making a lot of money, he wants to do the same. This is same with all those little kids, boys, teenagers who are cricket crazy. They all want to make a profession out of cricket, seeing all these other cricketers play, right? Therefore, going to college does not interest them. He even draws his father's attention to those people who became successful and made a lot of money with very little or no formal schooling whatsoever. Of course, he fails to mention those who did not educate themselves and are rotting in the streets. Instead, he will point to a particular uncle who did not go to school, but who happened to be at the right place at the right time and made some money. He then married a woman who also had some money and bought a certain piece of property which escalated in value merely because someone decided to build a shopping mall in that very location. So all this could be their different prarabdhas, but then they tend to quote these people who have become successful and got the success without studying and therefore quote them. But they fail to see all the other people who, not being educated, have turned into beggars. So it is only a matter of perception on how we perceive the end results. Young people do not want to study because they want quick results, or they may only pretend to be interested in music or electronics because, in fact, they are not interested in anything. Still, other young people may want to do nothing more than travel to faraway places with a pack on their back. Those people who have interrupted their studies for quick results find it very difficult to resume studying later because they lack the necessary discipline. In every university campus, there are people in their 40s and 50s struggling to complete college degrees. Since these people obviously have gained a value for education, why do young people not want to study? Because, like these older people before them, they go for quick results, immediate success, without really knowing what they want in life. This then is what is meant by people invoking small deities, whether they are devotees or not, the deities of money, power, and so on. The desire for quick money is what makes a person deal in drugs, and buy lottery tickets. If at all a person prays, he or she does so at the time of buying lottery tickets. Oh Lord, please let this be the winning number. Is the Lord really impartial? Therefore, Krishna is saying here, don't blame me. Don't say that I am partial and that because of my likes and dislikes, all these things happen to people. But his statement can still be questioned based on the seemingly unjust differences we see among different types of people. If, as Krishna says, he is the author of the world, Srishtikarta, the one from whom everything has come, then ultimately he is the author of all the people in the world. Why then has he placed some people in elevated positions and others in lowly positions? Why, in the Vedic context, is one person called a Brahmana, another a Kshatriya, yet another a Vaishya, and still another a Shudra? How is it that there are such differences in the world? The Brahmanas have their own position in society, as do each of the others. There is a certain order, a hierarchy, wherein one group of people seems to be superior to another, and some people have no place in the system at all. As the author of this world, is Ishvara not responsible for all these differences? And if he is responsible, he must certainly have a problem, the blemish of partiality. Why else would he put a silver spoon in the mouth of some, gold spoon in another, platinum spoon in yet another, and no spoon at all, not even a plastic one, in the mouth of still others? And there are people born with no mouths at all. Why does Ishvara do these kinds of things? If this question cannot be asked and answered, why bother about God at all? It is not enough to say this simply means that God does whatever he does, and because he is God, no one can question him. Well, he may be God, but I am the sufferer. First, you tell me he made me, and then you say he knows my problems better than I do. How? I am the one who was born crippled and cannot see or hear. God seems not to know that being crippled, blind, and deaf is not a pleasant life, since he made me this way. But I know better. If God knew what I knew, he would definitely have made me differently. And since he didn't, isn't he just another defective manufacturer? So these are all the questions that may normally crop up. If you buy a car in which even the slightest flaw is detected, there is such a furor made about it that the manufacturer calls back all the cars of that particular design, if only to change one bolt in the brake system. But as a manufacturer, Ishvara cannot be questioned, it seems. Nor does he call back anything. He does not say, I'm so sorry, that was a hurried job. Please send it back to me and I'll give you new legs or whatever. Instead, the person has to suffer through life without legs, eyes, ears, and so on. What kind of God is this that sits above us somewhere, having a wonderful life, while some unfortunate person has to inch along the ground because he or she is lame? And if must make a crippled person, the least he could do is to put the person in America, where motorized wheelchairs are readily available. Even this much he does not do for the person. How can we look at such differences and say that God is justified in all that he does? What kind of justification is this? You find some people born with parents and others who do not even know who or where their parents are. A child may be born in South Korea to one set of parents and be raised in Vancouver by another set of parents. Everyone thinks he's doing very well, but in fact, he's not, because he's painfully aware that he's noticeably different from his parents and his brothers and sisters. If he had been raised in Korea by his original parents, he would look the same as everyone else and would not have the problems he has growing up in Vancouver. He's distinctly different from the local crowd, right? So they think he's very happy, but actually he's not. Even though a baby is a baby, adoptions do not really work. Even animals who have been adopted have problems adapting to a new habitat. Why would a baby have to be adopted in the first place, whether in this country or elsewhere? Why should the child not be with his or her own parents? Because we do not know where the father and mother are, we say the child is an orphan. If everyone is created by God, can we say an orphan is created by people? No. Again, God seems to be some kind of a sadist. Because he seemingly has created some kids with parents, and for some kids, there are no parents. In the sense, they have lost their parents. They are, of course, born to a set of parents, but who are no more. So, therefore, God seems to be some kind of a sadist. Why is He creating such diverse sets of people, right? Has God Himself said we must follow Him? Further, I'm told that not only has God made me, but He has also said that I must follow Him. And how do I know this? Someone else tells me. The least God could do is to come and tell me Himself. Then this would all mean something to me. In fact, God should tell everyone. Instead, someone else tells us that God told him and then asked him to tell us. If God wants me to know this, why does He not tell me Himself? Also, another person sometimes comes along saying that God told him that what he told the first person earlier is no longer current, and what we are now going to hear is the latest word from God. So, this is referring to all the new religions, the new doctrines that come up, right? The different sampradayas that come up, saying this is the latest. This kind of God is someone we would all be better off without, in fact. If God is something that is to be established, the concept should be a rational one at least. What is unreasonable cannot be accepted. Thus, the issue being addressed here is valid. If God made all these divisions among people, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, to use the Vedic context, then he must definitely be partial because the Brahmanas seem to be better off. To deal with this concern, Krishna acknowledges that he made them all and at the same time says that he is not to blame. So, Krishna acknowledges that he is the Srishtikarta, but he says he is not to blame. So, does anybody want to share anything before we go to the next verse? I know we did all this yesterday, but we're just doing it one more time for us to get the context. Because this verse 13 is very important for us to understand the way.
I used to feel all these things, sir. All whatever Swamiji says. I used to
Mm.
feel all this.
Correct. At some point, all of us have gone through that cycle where we question, why did God create such a diversity? And we've all questioned, who is it? I mean, as a child, I remember, why should, when you're told to do something, who told you is the first question. And the parents would, of course, say, someone, our parents told us. So it is like it is handed down over. So instead, the question here is, why didn't God Himself come and tell me that we should follow Him? Someone else is telling us, right? So these are all the mundane questions that uh, a person who's asked to follow God will will get, to ask
Uh,
to follow certain principles.
in the, I mean, the last sentence, is it not contradictory? He has created and he is not to be blamed.
Correct. Yes. It is contradictory. It is because
I
see,
mean, he is created and he's not taking the doership kind of
he is
thing.
not a doer in the first place.
Mm,
That is why.
correct.
So it is, see, if you go back to how creation is made, he is the Ishvara is the Nimitta Karana as well as the Upadana Karana. As against the example where you have mud and a potter. Clay is the Upadana Karana, the material cause, and the Nimitta Karana, the intelligent cause, efficient cause, is the potter. So, what is created? The potter uses the clay and creates a pot. Now, the potter is different from the pot because why? The material is different from the intelligent cause. The material cause is different from the intelligent cause. So, we say the potter is not the pot. The potter is different from the pot. But with respect to the creation, Ishvara is the Nimitta Karana. He is also the Upadana Karana. So whatever comes out of this Nimitta, when both are the same, then the the outcome of this is Mithya. They are one and the same. Ishvara runs in and through creation. So that is why, although he has made it all, he is not to blame. We'll see. We'll read this and then we'll understand. Huh? Just give me 1 minute. Gurudev. So we'll see this 13th verse. चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं गुणकर्म विभागशः तस्य कर्तारमपि मां विद्य कर्तारमव्ययम्. Maya by me, guna karma vibhagashaha, a division based on duties and qualities, chatur varnyam, fourfold grouping of people, srishtam, was created, tasya, its kartaram, author, api, even, mam, me, avyayam, changeless, akartaram, non-doer, vidhi, no. Maya gunakarma vibhagashaha chaturvarnyam सृष्टम तस्य कर्तारम अपि माम अव्ययम अकर्तारम विद्धि. The fourfold grouping of people, a division based on duties and qualities, was created by me. Even though I am its author, know me to be a non-doer, ever changeless. Here, Krishna is referring to the Vedic system that divided people into four groups, saying that he was created, that he has created both the people and the groups. So, what is he referring to? The Vedic system that divided people into four groups, saying that he has created both the people and the groups. As the creator of everything, Srishtikarta, the Lord cannot deny his authorship, nor does he here while talking to Arjuna. So he says he is the creator, but at the same time, although this classification into four groups refers to the Indian context, what Krishna says here is universally applicable. So it's not just in the Vedic context, not just in the Indian context. In other contexts, we see people divided in terms of royalty, nobility, wealth, and poverty. So it is a universally applicable truth, right? That there is this division. Still, others refer to groups of people as the upper class, upper middle class, lower middle class, and so on. Wherever there are people, such classifications or groups are always to be found. This is very natural when you have groups of people. We have different differences in amongst them. Why just talk about classes? Even when you have people who are fair skinned, there is a division. Fair skin, dark skin. So this division automatically happens, classification happens. In the Vedic context, people are divided into four groups on the basis of their qualities, gunataha vibhaga, and on the basis of what they have to do, karmataha vibhaga. This division was created by Bhagavan. About this, Krishna says, understand me to be the maker, the karta of this fourfold division. At the same time, he also says, understand that I am not the karta. I am the non-doer, akarta, because I am changeless, avyaya. I do not undergo any change whatsoever. I do not undergo the change to become the karta. So I will repeat these last few. So in the Vedic context, people are divided based on their gunas and karma. Gunataha vibhaga and karmataha vibhaga. This division was created by Bhagavan. About this, Krishna says, understand me to be the maker, the karta of this fourfold division. At the same time, he also says, understand that I am not the karta. I am the non-doer, akarta, because I am changeless, avyaya. I do not undergo any change whatsoever. I do not undergo the change to become the karta. How can Krishna say he has created all this and also say he's not the doer? This was our original question, doubt, right? In order to resolve this apparent contradiction, we will first look at the division of people based on guna and karma. Then we will look at how Ishvara can be their karta and at the same time be a non-doer. The nature of the gunas. The division of people according to qualities, guna vibhaga, is found all over the world, not just in India. The qualities upon which this division is based are psychological, meaning that they refer to the composition and disposition of the mind. The division based upon the quality of the mind, manoguna, is fourfold, as we shall see a little later. So the division of people according to qualities, guna vibhaga, is found all over the world, not just in India. So if someone says, oh, it is only India has the caste system, it is not true. The qualities upon which this division is based are psychological, meaning that they refer to the composition and disposition of the mind. The division based upon the quality of the mind, manoguna, is fourfold, as we shall see a little later. The gunas or qualities themselves are three in number: sattva, rajas, and tamas, the meaning of which we shall also see. Everyone has these three qualities, and from certain combinations of these three qualities, four groups are derived. One possible composition of the three gunas is sattva, rajas, tamas, wherein sattva is predominant, rajas is less predominant, and tamas is the least predominant. A second composition in the order of predominance is rajas, sattva, tamas. Similarly, the third composition is rajas, tamas, sattva. And the fourth is tamas, rajas, sattva. These four combinations are the only four compositions possible. There can be shades of each of these four, but a fifth composition is not possible. Why, you may ask, can tamas, sattva, rajas or sattva, tamas, rajas not be a fifth and sixth composition? By looking, I think all of us have got this doubt. I at least got the doubt. I said, how come we cannot have tamas, sattva, rajas? By looking at each of the three gunas involved, we shall see why only four varnas or groups of people are possible when the division is based on their gunas. Sattva stands for any type of thinking. Rajas stands for activity and tamas stands for dullness, inactivity. Contemplativeness, inquiry, silence, shanti, and the disciplines, shama and dhamma, are all sattva. Discipline is also found in a person in whom rajas is predominant. But there will also be a lot of ambition, energy, and enthusiasm along with it. The go-getter, for example. Tamas is a certain dullness, lethargy, and laziness. Everyone is a combination of these three, and as we have seen, the combinations can vary. Babies, for example, are tamas, rajas, sattva. Tamas being predominant, they sleep most of the time. As they get older, rajas predominates and they become very active. Finally, when they are grown, we expect them to be sattvikas. Let me know if anyone wants a repetition. Otherwise, we'll go to the next para. the four groups of people according to guna. So the sattva, rajas, tamas composition is a very beautiful description of a person's inner composition. A person can be predominantly contemplative, a thinking person, because of which certain things are very evident to him or her. Any emotionally mature person, any inquirer or philosopher, anyone who thinks predominantly about fundamental values, the ends in life, and so on, is naturally a combination of sattva, rajas, tamas in that order. In such a person, sattva is predominant, backed by rajas in second place, tamas taking third place. This then is one type of person. The second type.
Jai Gurudev Brahmanaji, there was no power, so I missed it. He was talking about
Okay.
God being the saddest and all that. What is the answer for that?
Yeah. So that is, he says, he has created them, but although he's the author, he is not the, he does not undergo the change to become the karta because he is avyaya. So that is the contradiction. On one side, he says he has done this. He has created the division. And on the other side, he says, I am not the doer.
So we have to be in wonderment. Vishwaya. What is this? What
Yeah,
is? How can we take this now? Any logical
correct.
person cannot perceive this.
Correct. Isn't it?
Yeah, how can we have devotion to such a person who is not even
Who is confused himself. We think he's
Hmm.
confused. What is this? Correct? So for that, Krishna says, understand me to be the maker, the karta of this fourfold division. At the same time, he also says, understand that I am not the karta. I am the non-doer, akarta, because I am changeless, avyaya. I do not undergo any change whatsoever. I do not undergo the change to become the karta. So this is where he leaves Arjuna. Now, how has Krishna? How can he say that he has created all this and also say he is not not the doer? So, in order to resolve this, see, apparent contradiction. Swamiji is also very careful to use his words. He's not saying this is an absolute contradiction. It is an apparent contradiction. We will first look at the division of people based on guna and karma. And now this division is not just in India or in the Vedic context. This is universally applicable. Any part of the world you go, there will automatically be a classification. You would classify them based on maybe power, royalty and nobility and local people, commoners, or based on the money they have, middle class, upper middle class, higher middle class, whatever. So basically that division is creeps in no matter where you are, right? So it is not only in India, only in the Vedic context that they have this division. In fact, it's a very intelligent division that the Vedas have, that is there in the Vedic context. So one division is through guna and the other is through karma, the nature of their action. So gunataha, what is the division? There are three kinds of gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. So here the argument is that there can be only four types of combinations. Sattva, rajas, tamas is one combination. The second combination is rajas, sattva, tamas. And then the third combination is rajas, tamas, sattva. And then the fourth combination is tamas, rajas, sattva. There cannot be the fifth and sixth combinations, which are what? Sattva, tamas, rajas, you cannot have. Or you cannot have tamas, sattva, rajas. Now the argument giving further down is explaining that, right? So what does sattva stand for? Contemplativeness, any type of thinking. Rajas stands for activity and tamas stands for inertia, dullness. So contemplativeness, inquiry, silence, and the disciplines, shama and dama, are all sattva. The discipline is also found in a person in whom rajas is predominant. But where there will also be but there will also be a lot of ambition, energy, and enthusiasm along with it. The go-getter, for example. Tamas is a certain dullness, lethargy, and laziness.
Jai Gurudev, the whole thing is, like Gurudev was saying, it's like a film director. Somebody will be poor in that movie, rich, villain. So just a play, that's all. Shouldn't take it.
Yeah. So everyone is a combination of these three. And as we have seen, the combinations can vary. Babies, for example, are tamas, rajas, sattva. See, again, if we pause here and go back to the creation of the universe, where do we start? Brahmashraya Maya. Then Sattva Rajas Tamogunatmika Maya Asti. And Ataha Akasha Sambhutaha. Then Akashad Vayu and all of that. So Maya, which is Trigunatmika, the various combinations of these three gunas is what give rise to the different classification. So you see, Ishvara is standalone. It is this Maya that has come up, this concept of Maya, that is actually the Upadana Karana, the material cause. But here, Maya is no different from Ishvara. It is only another aspect of Ishvara, right? It is dependent on Ishvara. Brahma Ashraya Maya. It is from his own self. That is why in the beginning of the 4th chapter, he says, when as an avatara, what is it? Mama Maya, I come out of my own Maya. I manifest myself using my own powers of Maya. So everyone is a combination of these three. And as we have seen, the combinations can vary. Babies, for example, are tamas, rajas, sattva. Tamas being predominant, they sleep most of the time. As they get older, rajas predominates and they become very active. Finally, when they are grown, we expect them to be sattvikas. We expect them, but are they sattvikas? Yeah, that is a question. The 4 groups of people according to guna. The sattva, rajas, tamas composition is a very beautiful description of a person's inner composition. A person can be predominantly contemplative, a thinking person, because of which certain things are very evident to him or her. Any emotionally mature person, any inquirer or philosopher, anyone who thinks predominantly about fundamental values, the ends in life, and so on, is naturally a combination of sattva, rajas, tamas in that order. In such a person, sattva is predominant, backed by rajas in 2nd place, tamas in taking the 3rd place. This then is one type of person, the thinking person, the inquirer, philosopher, the one who's asking fundamental questions, values in life, ends in life, and etc. The second type will naturally have rajas predominant. When rajas is predominant, the second can be either sattva or tamas. When rajas is predominant, the person is very active, fired by a certain ambition. When this ambition is directed to the welfare of others and to certain ideals, there is a lot of thinking involved. Therefore, sattva is in 2nd place. The person's enthusiasm and actions being backed up by thinking. Such people generally become good leaders. The world needs such leaders. Then we have the third group of people, those who are always active, having rajas predominant, but who have tamas rather than sattva in second place. This means there is ambition rather than thinking behind their actions. An example of ambition without thinking is when someone goes after money, power, or whatever without any consideration for others. Because such a person also has some sattva, some thinking capacity, he or she will not only be very active, but may also be very clever, very intelligent. But because tamas is predominant over sattva, there will be a lot of scheming, manipulation, and exploitation of others, which is what we're seeing right now in the world. So when rajas is predominant, two combinations are possible. Rajas, sattva, tamas, if the person is active, but he is thinking about the welfare of others. So therefore, sattva is in second place and tamas is in third place. But if he is very active, rajas is predominant, but he is only thinking about, he is only going after materialistic things, mundane things. He's not thinking about what about me, not what about others. Tamas will be in the second place. And because he is also thinking, because he has to act, so therefore he's clever, but this cleverness, intelligence is used for his own gain. There will be a lot of scheming, manipulation, and exploitation of others. So therefore, this combination is rajas, tamas, and sattva. If on the other hand, sattva is backing up the rajas, there will be consideration for other people. There will be a respect for life and for wealth and for the freedom of others. Whereas when tamas backs up rajas, there is only disrespect for dharma, meaning there will be no regard for others. For such a person, individual ambition is most important and he or she becomes a despot. Rajas being predominant, such people also become world leaders. If they do not become leaders, only their families and perhaps their neighbors suffer. Whereas if they assume world leadership roles, the results can be devastating, which is very evident right now, right? So
Very
the
much.
fourth, huh?
Very much evident.
Very evident. It's
Yeah.
already 6 o'clock. So we'll continue tomorrow. We have other combinations. Maybe I will just read these four so we can just contemplate on this. The fourth type of person, wherein tamas predominates, presents no such problem. At worst, these people are small-time criminals and at best, simple employees, not out of any real contentment or anything, but simply because of dullness. They cannot even, that ambition also is not there for them. Such people have no ambition whatsoever, not even to make money. In fact, they have already decided that they cannot make money. If I could make money, I would have made it long ago, they will say. And then to justify their laziness, they add, who needs money anyway? And if such a person has a little ambition for something, he or she will not work to make it happen and will compromise at every turn. This then is what is meant by dullness, tamas. If a tamas, rajas, sattva person wants to become sattva, rajas, tamas, he or she has to become rajas, tamas, sattva first, then rajas, sattva, tamas, and only then sattva, rajas, tamas. There is no jumping possible here. It is a process involving growth, and this is what maturity is all about. This is also what we mean by karma yoga, whereby one becomes mature by doing karma with a karma yoga attitude. So if a tamas, rajas, sattva person wants to become sattva, rajas, tamas, that is the best form, that is the highest in the order, he or she has to first become rajas, tamas, sattva first, then become rajas, sattva, tamas. He has to go through, that tamas has to get out. He should first convert the tamas into rajas. And rajas, the two combinations, rajas, tamas, sattva, and then rajas, sattva, tamas. And then he can become sattva, rajas, tamas. Up to rajas, tamas, sattva, growth is simply a matter of performing karma, pursuing one's own ends according to dharma. Only when one performs karma with an attitude of karma yoga does the person become sattva, rajas, tamas. This is the person who can become a sannyasi. Shades of difference exist within each of these four groups. For example, rajas, tamas, sattva can be a criminal or just an ambitious salesperson. When the latter invites you into his or her place of business with a smile, you may end up paying for the smile too. There is a rank selfishness in this type of person that makes him or her convert every action into dollars and cents. Rajas, tamas, sattva people can follow either dharma or adharma, shades of difference being there. Once you reach rajas, sattva, tamas, you automatically follow dharma. It's very beautiful, this understanding based on guna. We will repeat this again tomorrow, but we'll close for now. Let us just reflect on this for today, and we'll come back tomorrow. Right? So of the three divisions, only 4 possibilities exist. The other 2 possibilities, 5th, 6th, do not exist. So the 4 possibilities are sattva, rajas, tamas, rajas, sattva, tamas, rajas, tamas, sattva, and tamas, rajas, sattva. These are the only 4 possibilities. Right? Yeah. Let's mull over this today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishnarpanamastu.